Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am Sean Garmer, and here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison,
Howdy.
and we will be back after these wonderful messages.
Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Yes, we are here finally. Sorry for the delay. It was not intended at all. We were trying to move the show back to Monday nights because, well, Tuesday morning for you guys, pretty much. But I was really exhausted that day, and then I had a lot of crap happen with my car. It was actually really, really weird. Not weird. It was actually kind of, I guess, joke. Not funny for the person that had to deal with this, but it's kind of like something you can kind of just be like, wow, that really happened. Car has a flat tire. My girlfriend's driving it the night before. Get the spare put on, go get 2 used tires because find out that 3 of the 4 tires are bad. And then one of those used tires apparently was put on wrong. And then as she's going to go pick up my daughter from school, flat tire. And then basically have to just go to Amazon and be like, you know what? I'm going to have to just order new tires completely. Those don't come in until next week. So I don't have a car right now that I can really be drivable at a fair distance. So luckily I've been able to work from home. But because of that, I was just like, well, got other stuff going on. Let's just do one more Friday show. And here we are. We're doing Video Games to the Max episode 288, I think we're at right now. And Marc, I mean, we've had quite a few things happen we'll talk about. The big Final Smash character reveal, and oh man, I wish I was doing a reaction video because that was awesome to be able to finally get the character that, I think a lot of us, well, you don't care that much, Marc, but for me and anybody else that even though I don't play Smash on the regular, we were all going, oh man, it'd be cool if it was Sora. And then there was a leak that happened. I had no idea about the leak, actually, thankfully. And then it happens, and it's Sora. He is the final Smash Ultimate character, Marc. I mean,
It should have been Conquer.
No, thank God it's not Conquer. But I mean,
I watched that trailer. He looked fine. The only thing I would say is he sounded super quiet. Like, did he even speak?
No, he didn't speak. He does apparently have English and Japanese vocals in the game.
Do you think it's going to be Haley Joel Osment or?
I mean, why not? Right? He's done both.
He's in all of them.
The adult Sora, and Sora, from the original. So why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, like, he doesn't sound like Kid Sora anymore. Like,
Right, but there's a progression of him throughout all the different games,
right?
In the different suits, so it wouldn't really matter per se.
Like, that was my only kind of comment or thought on it was like, he's not speaking. Like, I wonder if they're gonna replace him or what, because I thought that was like super weird. Because like, I found the old trailers for like Bayonetta or like the Fire Emblem Byleth or other characters, and I'm like, these people are talking. Why isn't Sora?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, like what you're saying, right?
And I guess, that Nickelodeon Smash Brothers clone, no one talks.
Well, yeah, they don't even. I think in the kart racing one, a lot of people were making the comment of why do we not have the music?
Yeah,
That
and the
goes
same thing
along with
that game also. Like they don't have like the cartoon themes, like the music from the shows, and it's like, well,
that's part of it. Like,
yeah, I think they're just trying to cheat. Like I don't think. No offense to Haley Joel Osment, I don't think he's like super expensive, but I just wonder if they don't want to pay him. You know.
I mean, like, I'm sure that maybe they could just get him to do it. I mean, or they could just use stuff from the games.
Yeah.
Per se.
But I mean, he'll be saying like Final Smash or like stuff like that, which I'm sure they don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
But
I don't. Well, not Final Smash, obviously. But...
Or whatever attack that he, that Final Smash, Keyblade looking thing. But it looked fine,
I mean, to me, it looked more than fine. It was amazing to see him come through the keyhole and surprise everyone, and I loved it. I was totally expecting no Disney characters, and that's what we got. No Disney characters.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should have been Donald Duck instead.
I don't know that it's necessarily about money. It's more about it would go against Sakurai's whole thing about why Goku can't be in it because he's not originally a video game character. Sora is originally a video game character, Donald Goofy or not, So, I mean, obviously, yes, it would also cost Disney. It would also cost them a buttload of money. And then you could also run into the problem of it could also make Sora have to be taken off to be purchased for DLC eventually. So I think that's something that they don't want to even run into, obviously. And I think that's a smart move, really, is just let's avoid any problems that we could face later on down the road. Because, I mean, obviously, this stuff, there's licensing issues, and eventually this stuff will come down. Or this stuff will, whenever there is another Smash, I highly doubt that we will get a Smash Ultimate 2 or whatever, and all these characters will be in it. I mean, Nintendo surprised us with Smash Ultimate in general, so maybe they could, but man, that would be a heck of a lot of stuff to go through. I mean, but anything else from like Sora being in that? I mean, both of us aren't like huge, not Smash players, really. I have the game. I played it a little bit when it first came out. I didn't even unlock all the characters because it was rather annoying for me, and then I kind of just uninstalled it, and that's
I
it.
I unlocked all the characters, but that was about it. And I made decent chunk of that like storybook or that board game mode, but after a while, I'm like, this is not fun, or this is kind of the same thing over.
It winds up being a lot of the same over and over. Like just to go on with some of the other stuff. I mean, if you're watching on video, you're seeing some of the outfits and everything. I love the Steamboat Willie being a choice there. All the other like Square characters, all the other big characters from the games make appearances in the Spirit Board, and I love the Hollow Bastion, and then it turns into a dive into Kingdom Hearts when you're like low on health or whatever. That's awesome to me. I love that they were able to do that. That's just really cool as a fan of the series, and of course getting the music, which look, we're all gonna miss having the Disney stuff in there, right? But honestly, I mean, what did you expect? Did you really think they were going to have that stuff in there? I don't think so.
You get simple and clean, right?
No, there's no simple and clean. No Utada Hikaru tracks. You do get a swing version of Dearly Beloved that's the main menu song.
Yeah.
If you have the music game on Switch, which I have it on Xbox, I'm not buying that thing on Switch again to just get that one song. But
he should have swerved. Sakurai should have swerved everyone and like announced the trailer and go, "You think this is Sora? It's actually Roxas."
Yeah, he could have. That would have been. Would have been upset at that. It was like, wait a minute. We couldn't get Sora, but we had to get Roxas. God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy that he's in. There's people that are just as big Kingdom Hearts fans as I am, and some of the reaction videos have been insane for Sora being put in. It's absolutely crazy. But it's cool that gaming got this moment. And there's a lot of people that don't like Kingdom Hearts at all, but you have to admit, like, from going to something where every time somebody mentioned it, I said it, I think many times, like, oh, Sora's not going to be in. People are going to get upset, but it's not going to be Sora. And lo and behold, man, they made you wait till the last one, but they got it. And then you find out that he was the most requested character of all when they did the poll for the Wii U 3DS as well.
Yeah, it's not going to be Terry Bogard or some of the other DLC characters.
Well, no, it's not going to be Terry Bogard, but I mean, like, there could have been other characters that there were still a lot of people that were upset about Waluigi not being in.
I mean, the two that I would want would be Waluigi and then Gino.
Yeah, Gino was an extremely highly requested character, but I think there would still be some upset fans, and I get it. There's people that didn't want another anime sword fighter, whatever. But when it's a big deal like that, I think you gotta make the case.
Well, you see, his sword has a few prongs on it, so it's not really a sword.
Yeah, it's a key. It's not really a sword. So, you can say what you want there, but it's not really a key or a sword there. But moving on from Smash, I mean that's it for Smash, right? Like
until they force him to make another one.
Yeah, I guess, right? I don't think so though. I would be really, really surprised if now obviously we don't know how far down the road this is. To be fair. So we don't know how far we're talking about when, we're going to get another Smash, right?
Yeah.
Nintendo usually has to have a reason to make another console. They don't just, I don't know that we're just going to keep, knowing Nintendo, we're not going to just get iterations of the Switch unless they decide that, well, we're not going to go back to making portables, but we are going to keep the Switch around because that's, the hybrid of the portable and TV. And then we'll go and make another TV console. I mean, do you feel like there's going to be something else? I mean, do you feel like the next thing that we get, aside from a Switch Pro, which is still being rumored, by the way, 4K Switch is still being kicked down the road.
I don't think it'll be that. I think it'll be just a Switch 2.
You think they really will make a Switch 2?
Yeah. And it'll be that 4K Switch you always keep talking about. But, I mean, it'll obviously be bumping power. Switch 2 games won't be playable on Switch, the original Switch. It'll be backward compatible with the old games, but that's it. Just like what like Facebook did with the Oculus Quest 1 and 2.
Okay. I mean, like, this would really be the first time that we sort of have it'd almost be going back to the NES to Super Nintendo. In the last time you really get like this is kind of like a bump up and different system
it'd be like the Wii, the GameCube and the Wii. Because
right.
They literally had GameCube function, GameCube functionality in the Wii.
Yeah, GameCube and the Wii, that's right, yeah. I mean, but the Wii was a totally different system from the GameCube, though. We're talking about, like, you have to go from playing your game sitting down, and it has a little handle where you could take the GameCube with you, but the Wii is a total. Okay, you got to be standing up and moving around and doing all that. That Wii was a totally different console. I mean, the Wii U was kind of a precursor to the Switch, but then it's like, wait, I mean, if you're a Nintendo, I mean, like, where else do you go to like innovate to be different after the Switch? I mean, I don't like if you can say what you want about VR and AR, but I don't think that's ever going to be a way somebody wants to play all the time. It's a nice thing to have.
Who says they have to innovate?
That's what Nintendo does, right? They try to do something different than nobody else does because they don't want to compete on a graphical level.
The Switch, the only like the real innovation with the Switch is just like the dock.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. It's different for consoles. Like we've never had a hybrid console. We've had, you can do your tablet like that. You can do your computer, but never a console. So they got to be able to have the two things that they love in one.
I'll direct you to the Sega Nomad.
I mean, the fact that like no one really talks about the Sega Nomad should tell you everything you need to know. There. I mean, we'll see if what happens with the Steam Deck or whatever, if that becomes a thing that goes beyond the hardcore crowd.
No.
But I mean, yeah.
Good. I think that thing's going to be way too complicated for like normal people.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Well, especially if you want to add anything to it, aside from just being able to play your game and then figuring out, well, what do I have to do if this game doesn't play on it? Oh crap,
Yeah.
Most people just want to put your card in or download your game, and there you go. But if you're a Nintendo, you are looking at the Switch OLED that came out this week. If you're looking for someone probably this week that will have it, our partners, Last Word on Gaming, our editor, or one of the editors. I'm one of the editors, but the main editor, Matt Jarvis, has it, and he'll be reviewing it. So probably by the next time we do a show, I will put a link in there so you can read his review if you don't have other reviewers you want to read by then. And then, of course, Marc has Metroid Dread, but he has not been able to play it yet. So that's the game that's launching
today. So
yeah, so definitely by our next show, Marc will.
I was supremely happy to pick up that special edition.
I bet, man. There's so many people that have been wanting that thing, looking for it. Keith keeps
it was to the point last night where like it was going in and out of stock at Best Buy's website.
Yeah.
So I had one in my cart, but I only had like $50 in my bank account at the time.
Oh, I thought you'd already pre-ordered it.
No, I couldn't. I tried, and then no.
Ah, okay.
And the same thing with that Shin Megami Tensei 5, premium thing. And I was like, well, could I bug Jens for like I had the money in cash.
Yeah.
But can I bug Jens? And I was like, well, he's already in bed. Better not. So Best Buy has like something in standard cart for 15 minutes.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, well, my bank's not that far away. So I drove out there like my pajamas and deposited like enough money to buy it. And I had like 6 minutes to spare. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you got that. So
yeah.
Those are.
I do like their because Fire Emblem is basically the same shape, like they're big boxed like special editions.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Emblem
so for people that don't really know, I mean, or perhaps they're just saying like, oh, well, I'm happy to just get Metroid Dread. What comes in this special edition? I guess that makes it so special.
It's a steelbook case. It has like I think 5 different art cards representing like the 5 major Metroid games, and then like a big art book that details like most of the Metroid games. So yeah, not the biggest special edition bundle, but Nintendo really doesn't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's very analogous to like the Fire Emblem 30th edition thing, except without the cool glass NES cartridge or plastic thing.
Yeah. So I mean, there's like I was saying, Keith keeps talking about wanting that special edition. There's so many people that are after that. So, that's cool that you were able to get it and just kind of get it at the last minute.
Yeah, and eBay prices are going insane for it right now.
I'd imagine they're selling that like crazy.
It's like 170 on, or like about average.
Not surprising, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
If people just like to do that.
I mean, that'll be Persona, or not Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei 5 next month.
You really think so? They're gonna.
Oh, definitely. Because it's on this like stock tracking website, and the minute it goes up for sale, within like 10 minutes, it's sold out on like Amazon or Walmart or something. Because like scalpers are like buying it in droves.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I guess they're gonna see if they can get as much for that, but I don't know, man. We'll see anyway. But moving from that, since we're on that subject, let's talk about games we're playing. I've been able to, in this time that we're off, you beat the game completely. I found out that I'm apparently about 10 hours away from beating the game, but I've played a massive chunk of it in this time. Of course, talking about Tales of Arise. Mark,
Yep.
I mean, you talked about it some, I think, on the last show, but I was at that point with that game where I was like, I don't know if it's gonna, click with me. I like the demo, and then I kind of played it for a little bit, and I was like, okay, I got other stuff I gotta play right now. I still gotta, play a little bit more of FIFA so I can do the review, which I'll talk about here, FIFA 22, I mean, and I was okay, I'm gonna play this a little bit more and then figure out what I'm gonna do with that, and then all of a sudden it just clicked for me. I was like, oh man, I want more. I want to keep playing this. I keep playing this. And I turn around and, like I said, been able to be fortunate to work from home. And for some reason, when September hit, it really coincided with us as we've been able to make inroads with this latest peak in COVID cases has dropped. So have the calls for us. So like after 8 o'clock, it starts getting slow. And I'm able to kind of just have the game on mute and kind of play as, calls kind of trickle in or whatever. And I've been able to play a lot of the game. And man, I've just been really enjoying it. The gameplay is super fun. It's fluid, and I play as Renwell, the magic user. Most of the time, I don't know which character did you.
I pretty much used Alphen. I almost never switched characters. Except like when I really needed to. And the only character I ever switched to was like Xion because like I would have to like resurrect people or resurrect Alphen usually.
I usually didn't have to worry about that so much. Like she would do a good job of doing that herself. Or I just use a life bottle. So
yeah, she mostly did a good job, but occasionally I was like, no, I need you to resurrect this person now. Like, quit attacking, please.
Yeah. Because sometimes they'll get stuck in a loop of going after and attacking, and you're kind of like.
I had one funny thing happen where I think it only happened once, and so it's not really worth mentioning. But
yeah,
I think it was Law. He got knocked. He was going to do like a super attack, but he got knocked out of it in a battle. Like I don't know how it happened. So he basically just like T-posed for the entire rest of the battle. Like he didn't do anything. And I was like, this is funny.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, it wasn't like a hard battle. It was like medium difficulty, like, but he was just like kind of like walking around with like his arms extended. I'm like, all right. And like, I would try to like get him to do something and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have that issue. The only thing I've had is that sometimes you're sitting there going, as Renwell, I can kind of see things that are happening before they happen. I can move around, but the front characters, Alphen, Xion, Law, pretty much everybody else is a front character, and they just have attacks happen, and you're like, dude, I saw that coming a mile away. You should have moved. And so then you're like going, oh god, I gotta watch the CP meter here. And that's the one thing with this game that it makes, because the battle system's not hard to understand, and it's the battles themselves are not difficult, at least from when I've gone through. Now there are some like secret bosses or whatever that if you're not leveled up enough, they're gonna kick your butt. But for the most part, as long as you're playing the story and you're fighting everything that's kind of in your way, I mean, for the most part, a lot of times the enemies are like they're blocking the door that you have to go into or whatever, so you can't really avoid them.
Yeah.
But that
CP at a certain point
is kind of like.
I was going to say at a certain point, I was just trying to avoid enemies, like just kind of like walking around them or just like fleeing the battle. Like, you know, I'm like, just like, because if you flee the battle, the enemies will disappear in the game world. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
I've had enough of this.
You can like try to run around them as well if you're able to like see where they're going. You know, but that's my one thing with the game is that, man, that CP meter after a while, especially once you get further in and the bosses start taking up more of your health. Oof! If you don't come in with those orange gels maxed out or have plenty of them.
Well, the orange gel is like 30%, and I forget the purple one is like 60.
Yeah, the lemon gel, I think it is. Yeah.
Huh?
I think it's the lemon gel is what they call it. Yeah.
Why they just can't give these things like regular names? But at a certain point, it's just like, you know, I never was like in a deficit, let's say that, and like Shion, she has certain skills where like if she is full, they regain CP after every battle.
Yeah, exactly. The like steamed potatoes or some of the other little the things that she makes.
No, it's not. It's not a meal. It's like any meal you eat, she will, like, you know, as long as like the little fork and knife are on the screen, like you will regain CP after every battle. You know, it doesn't matter what meal.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about when you get into. I mean, you're not going to have this problem necessarily with the normal characters that you fight. I'm talking about when you get into those boss battles that are prolonged.
Oh yeah,
where you don't have the ability to do that. You know, you do need to come prepared.
Well,
even when that thing refills it for you, which you do get that kind of luck.
The little boss circle, or the little rest circle thing.
Yeah, the little rest circle or the camp that happens to be right before the boss.
Yeah,
which is nice. I mean, that is nice that they do that. It makes it's not such a slog of like, oh crap, well now I have to either end this battle or go back and restart my save to make sure that, okay, this is where the boss is going to happen. They already kind of take care of that for you, which is really nice. So yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I ran into is that sometimes that CP meter is a bit of a thing to get used to, because like, especially if you have both Dohalim and Shion in your party,
you have
the double healers, they will run through that CP fast.
Right.
And you'll turn around and go, what the heck? I don't know how many times I turned around and went, I just gave you an orange gel and you guys ran that out in like 2 minutes. Like what happened?
That's why I didn't.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't use Dohalim in battles.
The only time I did was in bosses, because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry about too many of my characters like dying. Because there was plenty of times where I had to because Shion gets stuck in something battling or whatever, and I have to use a life bottle myself. And then it has that thing where there's a period where you can't use another item. So, you just have to be careful. But I do love the versatility of the characters, and each one of their boost attacks has a actual reason why it exists. and you can play the game that way if you want. Like, I don't really do that. I mean, there's times where, like with Renwell's, I do where it can cancel the attack, or but everybody.
You will need to use hers later on for battle or for bosses.
Well, and the good thing is that also, like Alphins will do it too, where you do it and it'll knock off their attack when use his. But like the Kisara, which I think is a great like character just as a character, but that's the one I use the least probably is mainly because of me using Renwell, where I'm away from the battle. I can see the characters coming at me, so I don't need her to come and do her little special move to block them. I can just move out of the way. But maybe if you're using a front character.
No, she's useful for like the charging enemies because she'll knock them down.
Right. I'm not saying that none of them are useful. I'm saying that out of all the characters, she's probably been in my back two the most.
The only character I ever like held off with usually was like Renwell, because like, you know, you don't want some enemy casting a spell that can like decimate the party. Or there are, you know, later on bosses that are just bad with that type of stuff.
Yeah, I had that problem with the it was the first time I'd ever had that issue with the last lord or whatever that you fight before you get into the where you get way after you're beyond the main premise.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, the first part of the premise is that you wanted to beat all 5 of the lords, and then it goes into other things.
And then the game actually opens up.
That last lord, he actually will go after Renwell constantly, and go and attack her. And so I was like, "Oh crap! Like I really have to run away from this character."
See, he did. I don't think he's attacking her. He's attacking, you know, your character, because he didn't do that in my game at all.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what it is. Like the other characters, the other lords, I never had a problem with, like where they would come and attack my character, like they had a personal vendetta or whatever. Like, yeah, this last lord, he was like literally chasing her around. I'm like, oh crap, I actually have to run. And I had to jump around and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But no, it's good. It keeps you on your toes, and it's good that in a game where sometimes it feels like automatic, and in a different way than like a turn-based RPG feels automatic. Sometimes there's parts of that where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna hit. Well, for me, it's RB or whatever. For you, I think it was like L1 or L2 or something.
For what?
To do the regular attack.
R1.
Yeah. So, like, you know, you're hitting that, and
let me ask you. So you use art points, right, or arts points for like special attacks and stuff?
Right. She has the art points. Yeah.
So at a certain point, Alphen becomes basically broken, because you can basically spam your special attacks and get basically like infinite arts points back.
Oh, really? Wow.
He has this one midair attack. I think it's called Lunar Rondo. Yeah. Where it's basically like a hurricane kick from Street Fighter. But like it only takes one point. And I have so many like things on him where it's like, oh, if you get a critical attack, you get arts points back. So I do one, and he gets like 3 points back.
Nice. I never had that problem with Renwell, where I had to worry about her arts points. She would get them back really fast.
Yeah.
So, but the thing was, it wasn't until like later, like until I got to that lord, or that I really started using her arts, because a lot of times the other characters would just do so much of the attacking for me, that I was just kind of there managing things, and I'd use because she is, of course, this goes into having the Ultimate Edition, or where the biggest edition that they give you, that obviously they gave us as being reviewers. Like, she is one of for a long time, nobody has an Art 4 attack except for her.
Yeah.
So being able to use that like ray of light attack that she has so early on, like really takes a chunk out of Those those early on characters. Later, when you're, everybody's kind of at a bigger level, it doesn't do so much. But that's what I could do. I could just use that attack and really knock them out for that. But yeah,
you're entering in a fun area soon where the regular enemies will be the bosses you faced earlier.
Oh boy,
and they aren't like super hard, but it's like they're more of a challenge than like the regular,
right
enemies you used to fight.
Yeah, it's more of a time-consuming thing. You really need to pay attention to what you're doing there. That's good though.
How do you like the fishing mini game?
I like the fishing mini game. That's fun. I was gonna mention that to you too.
Once I figured it out, it got okay, but like they don't explain shit in the game unless you.
No, they don't explain anything to you about how you have to do the like short shake, and then or like reel it in and do the shake and then reel it in. Like that's how I figured. I was like, oh, now they're like coming at me like they don't want to stop, and it's like,
oh yeah. Well, it's that, but also like you have to do like the button combinations to like get the right fish.
Yes.
It's like you should have maybe popped this up in like a tutorial,
Yeah, they don't tell you anything. They're like, oh, okay, they're randomly gonna have a random button show up, and you have to press it at the right time, or you might lose the fish completely.
No, there's there's a key in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. That's like, oh, if you want this bass, it's like circle and X or like A and B, and it's like, oh, you have to have the right lure to get the fish, but you have to just press this button combination and it'll eventually like come.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah, they don't explain that at all. I'm like, what's this bullshit in the screen, on the bottom of the screen? And then like half of it was full, but half of it wasn't, because you have three options. It's like it'd be like it'd be like Y, X, and A. I assume.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what does this mean? And it's like I'd like look up a guide, and it's like, oh, if you want like this trout, you have to have the right lure, because every fish has a specific lure, or
right,
a few of them can use multiple. But it's like, yeah, just press the button combination, and it's like, wow, that's actually helpful, and that would have been helpful in the game.
Yeah,
because I actually finished that mini game. I caught all the fish.
Really, you caught all? Okay,
there's only
that's cool.
I think there's 44.
Yeah, that's still a nice number of fish.
And most of them are fine, but some of them are like boss fishes. So they'll have like two health bars. And
dang.
They are like they just destroy stamina. Like you can barely like hang on to it,
Hey, I mean, that's good that they added that in. Like, yeah. I was wondering the whole time. I was like, okay, does it get harder than this? And I guess you answered my question there of if it does or not. So.
The weird thing is that game doesn't have a lot of like superfluous content, and it has a lot of side quests. I think it has like 70 or 80 of those. I mean, they're mostly just like find materials or go kill this thing.
That's the thing. I found out that I'd find that I would end up having most of the materials.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a few of them was like, oh, I want you to go kill this thing. I was like, I already did that. And they're like, oh, okay, cool, thanks.
Yep, that too.
But like the older Tales games had like a lot more side stuff for you to do. And it's like, I'm glad this game does not have that, or cuts a lot of that out.
Yeah, I did the ranch thing. Where you
that is so minor that it is basically like nothing.
Yeah, but I do like the fact that you can just do that from the menu, and it's not I have to go back to the ranch every time. And
right. If it was like that, I wouldn't have done it. But it's like, every time,
I agree, because I did it one time. Because the first time makes you go back.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could do it from the menu with the shop guy, and I'm just like, yeah, if I have to keep going back to this, I'm not gonna do it. But it's nice because that, along with the fishing. Because the further you go on, obviously, things cost more money. And you're not going to find as much money as you do. Like, even with the having the Ultimate Edition, where for a while, it feels like, oh, I'm never going to run out of money here. And then all of a sudden, oh, man, yeah, you do.
I never ran out of money. and I also never used any of the DLC money I got.
Okay, well that's fair, but I'm just saying, like, you never ran out of money, so like, what? Did you never buy any of the other, the weapons and armor and stuff?
Oh no,
Or
I bought them all.
Okay,
but I would sell the armor.
Yeah, I did that
because you keep the weapons because you'll need those.
Yeah, because there's they'll eventually run into like, oh, there's a refined version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never ran out of money. I don't, it's weird. I pretty much always had like a full stock of like health potions too.
Yeah, I mean, I always would stock up on everything maxed out, orange gel, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing, but like the ranch does help you, and then also the fishing helps you. You can sell that stuff, sell the meat and sell the fishes, and some of the fishes will get you a lot of money. And that makes it really easy to be able to get the other stuff that you need. So,
but like, I think about like the past Tales games, like the Vesperia had like a mini game where you had to take the dog around the map to pee to mark his territory. And it just got to be like that game had a big ass open world, like you could like literally like ride this like dragon around in like a big open world, and like Arise doesn't have that at all. Arise is like actually, it's a fairly linear game. You can always go back to an area except for one area, but that's about it. Like it's not like there's no like open world, or even the levels you encounter or you go through aren't that big. Like Berseria, it had some levels that were so big, like the game gave you basically like a skateboard to get around. And
the levels don't get really big until you get towards like that last lord where his castle's pretty big, and most of this stuff, and especially if you don't care about getting items and going into secret rooms and stuff like that, you can get through some of the early stuff pretty fast.
The only other big like other mini game is like finding owls.
Yeah, the finding owls, which that's really cute. Oodles are cute, and some of the owls are annoying because you'll come into an area and go, she'll make the comment about, oh, Hoodle, you found one of your friends, and I'm like looking around going, where the hell is that thing at? Like, it's nowhere near here, like at all.
That's why like it's proximity based. Like, so when he starts flying around your head, you're like, okay, I know he's around here somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's literally, you'll walk in an area and they say that, and then I look around, there's like, there's no owl here at all. Like, what are you talking about?
That's what a good guide is for.
Yeah, it's like, thanks, whatever.
Oh, this is a minor spoiler, but after you beat the game, there's a quest to face old Tales characters in battle, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's cool when games can make use of their history.
I did one of them. I did like the first one where I fought Edna. I don't know which. I think it's Symphonia or one of the earlier ones that I never played. And she was hard.
Nice. Well, I mean, I hope so. They're not going to.
Yeah, like she had like earth power, but she could also like fly around, and it's like, this is not fun.
Yeah,
you only have one character with like a really good anti-air weapon or anti-air ability.
Yeah. Well,
and I think there's like 7 or 8 different like levels of. I don't know how many Old Tales characters are there, but there's at least 3 or 4.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep dive there on Tales of Arise. To me, it's a great game.
For me, it's probably my JRPG of the year, but that's kind of almost faint praise because there's not like a ton of other JRPGs out this year.
There is, but it's not like one that
not like AAA JRPG. Let's say that.
Oh no, not. I mean, this is definitely like your Final Fantasy VII remake, like the one that's leading
like Yakuza,
the way,
like a dragon.
Yeah, or Yakuza or something like that. Like, it's the one that when you're saying, okay, is there an RPG that I need to play this year? Well, JRPG. that's the one. I think
Right.
we're all going to be pointing to, being like, yeah, you should play that one. So, I mean, definitely, I'd say this is worth picking up. It's a great game. It's fun to play. There's some, like we mentioned, there's length to it. I like all the characters. I think they all have some really interesting arcs, and there's interesting story themes in here.
Yeah.
So definitely worth your time to play this, and I'm sure if you wait around long enough to around the Black Friday time, there will be a sale on this game as well if you want to wait a little bit to the holiday times, and maybe you have some more time to play game. Then definitely that's the time to check it out. But if you have the money, I would say definitely go get this. It'll be well worth your time, and I think you'll enjoy it, and especially if you love other Tales games, and for some reason you're still on the fence. This should definitely knock you off that fence, because there's some Tales games that I have not enjoyed at all, and this game, I was like, oh yeah, love it, love this game.
For me, like, I think we talked about this last time we podcasted. Like, the old Tales games always bothered me because of like how they did the art system, like the special attacks,
like
the direction stuff. And this game does not have that, so I think this game definitely plays better than those.
And I love the boost attacks being in there, like feeling like even though some of those characters are not in your main party at all, they still feel like they're part of it. And
I did have one stupid, I think it was a boss battle where like my 4 main characters died.
Yeah.
And it's like the game should let you be able to switch to bring in your other 2 backup characters.
You could bring them in as long as they don't all die.
Right.
Yeah. But you can't have all 4 of them die at once, or then you're kind of screwed. But that, I didn't have that problem except for one time. So
yeah. How's the FIFA? Better than eFootball?
Well, yeah, I mean, almost anything will be better than eFootball, honestly. So, FIFA, if you have not played it in a while like me, I think this is one of the better FIFAs that have come out in a while. So, I will say that the hyper motion thing is totally overrated. That's their big hook. That's their big hook for the game. If you have a PS5 or Series system, they were able to motion capture 2 teams, 2 entire 11v11 playing against each other. So you do see, if you're a soccer fan, you do see that more, that authenticity. The way the players move, the way that a attacker will receive a ball compared to the way a defender is going to receive the ball. Goalkeepers do have some more movement, but they're still janky and set up in weird spots, and I still had a problem with that. So I don't think that they have improved the goalkeeper that much and since the previous couple of games. But I will say it helps a lot in having that authenticity of how the characters move and how they are. The game is slower paced. I like that as well. It's more authentic feeling to how the game is. It's not this like lightning fast, oh my God, ridiculous stuff sometimes that FIFA is. It feels more methodical. It feels like you really have to think sometimes where you're going to throw that pass, where you're going to do this. I've enjoyed it. I like it. I'm having fun with it. I don't necessarily think that there is, if you've played FIFA 21 or you have FIFA 21, there's nothing here that, oh my God, you've got to go and get this right now. If you don't have, if you're like me and you haven't played in like 5 years or so, I think you can. Yeah,
skipping every 2 or 3 years is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't, because like really what's here is you can now create your own club. So if you want to do that in your career mode, you can create a club, and then you have your created character, and then you have the double whammy of having a bunch of characters that are like you, and then trying to sign real players onto that team as you progress through the season. And you have a lot of different editing that you can do to like your stadium and your kit and your logo and all of that stuff. I played just regular career mode with a manager. That was enjoyable. I love that part of it. The other big change, aside from the hypermotion thing, is the Volta, the street football thing. It is a lot closer to FIFA Street in that now you do have the powers, and you do have like the super speed and the super shot and stuff like that. It's still not, the arcade necessarily feel of the street games, but they're kind of halfway there now, instead of like, oh, we're just going to do FIFA, but in the street.
Yeah, they just transplant. Like, is it basically the same game except for the setting, and that's it?
No, because like I said, now you have the actual.
No, I meant
Yeah,
before. I mean,
before it was like that. It was like, oh well, now we have. This is one of the modes where we had the female characters now, or the women's soccer players now is in this mode. Okay, well now you can have women's soccer players and the male soccer players, and most of the time this is also like created, right? So you have all these like created characters with on your team, and then you're trying to like build them up and everything, and you like unlock stuff for them. Also, there's now a like skill tree that you unlock for your created character if you play the career mode with the created character, and it's less cumbersome than the one before that. And the addition that they added here for the street thing is that on the weekends only, you can play like mini games. And it goes into like a tournament style where you play 4 mini games at a time. One of them is like you're on a disco floor and you're trying to get the ball over to cover as many spaces as you can, and they keep changing constantly. There's one where you have to hit targets and you play wall ball, and they're fun, but it's weird that you choose to only do this on the weekend. Like, I don't know why you couldn't do this during the week too. I mean, that's weird that you lock it into doing that on the weekend only when it's something that you're really wanting to push to promote co-op play. All the other stuff's the same, the seasons and all that stuff. FIFA Ultimate Team has some different changes, but I don't really care about the Ultimate Team. I'm sorry if you do care about Ultimate Team. That's not my bag. I don't like being roped into microtransactions, and if I don't really care about.
If you don't want to be roped into it, you're playing the wrong game.
I don't really care about having try to have my dream team in cards. They do have this thing called like a preview now, where you can I think it's like once a day you can go into a pack and preview what you're going to get before you buy it.
Yeah,
which is really just enticing you to, buy more cards. But that's on you. But no, I've really enjoyed the FIFA. It's it took me a while to have to figure out, the defending side of it. I was getting into a lot of like 5-3 games until I figured out, okay, I need to kind of stop running. Like, don't run with my defender, kind of keep him there where he already is. But they still do have that problem where it tries to switch to the supposed nearest defender, and a lot of times it does that, and you're like, well, the guy's already by me by the time you switch to the other defender, so that doesn't really help me. I have to just wind up reading the game myself and know that ball's going to go over there, so I need to stop him before he gets there. But no, I've enjoyed the FIFA. It's good stuff. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't played it in a while and you love soccer or love football and are enticed into wanting to get the FIFA, then go for it. If you played last year, especially if you have Game Pass, just stick with 21. You'll be all right. Yeah. I don't think you need to go after 22. It'll be on EA Play anyway at some point, so you can try it out there. Just really quick, since we're already on the FIFA talk, EA has apparently, I don't know if this has to do with FIFA having bad precedent now with all of the scandals and the things that they're trying to do now with changing the World Cup to every 2 years instead of every 4 years, and really just kind of not making a great name for themselves right now, or just EA wanting to have their name on it and not necessarily having FIFA on it. But it's almost kind of like, to me, like, I can't imagine the NFL game being called something else besides Madden. It's just, it's nomenclature.
It's the same thing. It's
now FIFA. I mean, FIFA is also the organization, right? So there's a little bit of confusion at times when, if you're talking to a non-gamer that's only a soccer player, when you mention FIFA, you're looking at the international organization, not necessarily the actual sports game. But it's like, man, are they perhaps having to give away a lot of the money because of the naming rights with FIFA? Or I don't know what all entails there, but they're saying that apparently all of the deals with the teams and the clubs and the players and the stadiums and everything is separate from FIFA. So they can actually go and do that. They can change the name if they want to. I don't know.
I have a good name for him.
What
How about
is it?
EA Pro Evolution Soccer?
Nah. Well, Konami's not using it, right? So,
I mean, I think it's dumb. Like,
yeah,
they can't change that name, especially like worldwide.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't really. It has to be a money thing. It has to be a money thing of, we're having to give FIFA a big chunk of what we earn with this game because it has FIFA's name on it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine what else it is, because every other game that they make has, you got Madden, you got, I guess the NHL, it already has NHL in the name.
Tiger Woods.
Well, now it's somebody else, right? Because Tiger Woods is
Rory McIlroy or some other golfer no one cares about.
Somebody else. Baseball was kind of like the only one that was like, oh, it's MVP. That's their thing. But
could you imagine if, like, let's say John Madden suddenly dies, and like the first game will obviously be like a commemorative, like Madden, edition, but like 6 months after he died, and like 2 weeks before the game comes out, like, what if it was like discovered that like John Madden had like a secret stash of like Nazi uniforms or something like that? Could you imagine how hilarious that would be?
Oh God. I don't want to imagine it, because I'm such a huge like John Madden fan, just as what he did as a coach.
I'm not speaking ill of Madden at all. I'm just, it's just more theoretical. But like, how much EA would have to dance about that, or
Right? Yeah. No, I mean, you can't go back and just decide to eradicate every freaking Madden that ever existed. And I mean, let's be honest, like, EA wouldn't have EA Sports if it wasn't really for Madden.
Yeah, he was the first one,
So, like, it's a totally different game if you don't have that. So, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, maybe they're just wanting to call it like FIFA something, and they're not just going to take the FIFA name completely out of it. But I mean, like, you have the name of the league in there. NBA Live, NHL, whatever, whatever. Like, so that's what's weird is MVP and maybe is the only one. It was just called MVP Baseball, but you knew it was Major League Baseball, right?
Right.
I don't really know what the big deal is here, but I'm betting that it has to do something with money, not necessarily image, because everybody knows it's called FIFA. Like nobody cares about whatever FIFA is doing at the time. That's not going to make people not want to buy the game.
Yeah, I think of it as the same way when Ubisoft bought the Tom Clancy name like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And it's like Tom Clancy's been dead for like 8 years, and they keep.
Well, I mean, they keep coming out with books too. It's not like just Ubisoft,
right?
To be fair, so it's crazy that this is a thing that is apparently happening.
I played 2 other quick games also.
Yeah, go ahead.
I started Lost Judgment finally.
How is that?
That game's weird. It is like, it's like half Yakuza or like half of like Lost Judgment or half of Judgment mixed with like Persona or Bully.
Oh really? Wow. Okay.
Like the first chapter, I'm only in chapter 3. The first chapter was all like introductions, like this is how you fight, this is how you tail people, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The second chapter took place entirely in a high school.
Oh wow.
And I mean, it's obviously not the same scale, but the high school was basically, it looked almost exactly like the high school from Persona 5.
Well, I mean,
but just with the different, obviously the Yakuza or the Judge.
They are connected to each other now. I mean, and then to be fair, Yakuza Like a Dragon did have the bonding stuff that they took from Persona.
I don't think this one has that because you still only had the one guy. But it's fine. I discovered a fun thing where my PS5 controller is broken. Kind of, it's having that drift issue.
Oh man.
I noticed that when I was playing Call of Duty Cold War, I bought the Judge Dredd one skin, and I was playing and like the gun was kind of like jittering, and I'm like, well, I'm using the Judge Dredd gun, maybe it's that, and then I would switch to like a normal gun, and I kept doing the same thing, and I'm like, no, this is messed up, and I plugged it into a PC, and like it's off, and like Lost Judgment, like occasionally the camera will just like start spinning around my character. And I'm like, that's not normal.
Definitely not.
And I haven't contacted Sony yet, but you have to like mail them your controller and wait for them to fix it. And it's like, that's not.
Well, they gotta be able to prove that it is, a problem.
Well, why don't they just do it like computer manufacturers do, where they send you out a new one, and they if you don't send them back your old one, they charge you the full price of it.
And then perhaps it's a Japanese thing. Nintendo does the same thing. You have to send it into them.
Yeah. And that's not good. I think Microsoft did that. Or maybe they have, like, occasionally. But it's like, that's not a viable solution because it's like, okay, I have like 4 games to review right now. What if I tell everyone, hey, it'll be done in 3 weeks when I get my controller back?
I mean, I guess they also assume, especially Microsoft, apparently assumes, and Sony maybe too, without the different editions of their controller, that you will have bought another controller.
Well, I'm tempted. I mean, if I had the cash, I'd buy another one, return it, my broken one, and say, hey, this one's broken. Give me another one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you return it to the store?
Yeah. Hey, this didn't work. I need a new one. Because it'd be quicker than sending it to Sony for 2.5 weeks.
I agree. Wouldn't they be able to know that you used it? I mean, probably.
I could clean it up. It's not they don't record the serial number of the controller. When you buy it at the store.
No, they don't.
But yeah, Lost Judgment's cool. Like, I've barely even explored the city though, because it's all like I'm beating up like high school kids, like bullies. And, like, the game, I think the entire story is about, like, bullying. It's, like, bizarre. And I'm like, now I'm like the head of a high school club, like a detective, like club, and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on with this game? Like, it's like super weird. Like,
Yeah.
it's not bad. Like, it's still this. It's actually, in some ways, it's better than the first one for sure. But yeah, it's just like this is strange. And I did pick up that Castlevania collection.
Oh, I knew you would.
Yeah, $20. I mean, yeah, why not?
How do you enjoy it?
I've only played the first game. I think it's Circle the Moon. So there's a fun trick in that game. That's the one where cards drop from enemies. I think it's like 24 cards total. I think Destructoid put up a guide where it's like, and the card drops are random. Like if you hit an enemy or kill an enemy, sometimes the card will drop and sometimes not. But there's a rewind feature in the game. So you can kill an enemy, and if he doesn't drop the card, rewind 3 seconds, kill the enemy again. Keep rewinding until the card drops. And it's like, okay. So I have almost all the cards right now. And I'm like, I could finish that game. I think I have like the last key I need, but there's some like secret area I kind of want to explore first. That's a good package for $20. That's actually a really good package because even like the worst Castlevania game, the one I think it is Circle the Moon of the 3, that's still a damn good game. So
yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's a great deal if you like those games. Harmony of the, I think it's Harmony of the Moon or Harmony of Dissonance. That's
Harmony of Dissonance and Aria of Sorrow.
Yeah, Aria of Sorrow. Aria is like that is like typically ranked as like the number 2 Castlevania game behind Symphony, I think. And Harmony of Dissonance isn't that much further behind. Like, it's a really good game also. So, and I don't like the last one, the Dracula X, at all. No one should, but
that was the one that got the least bit of praise, I think, of most people.
Well, I think the old style Castlevania games, which I really dislike. So, I don't like going up like a level or like a different screen in a level and then getting knocked back into the old screen and dying. Like, I should just be able to be knocked back into the previous room, not have health taken away or die,
Right.
But yep, and me and Jens are still plugging along with Diablo 2.
Well,
that'll take a while.
I'm sure it will. You guys...
We just hit Act 3, I think.
Okay.
And it's funny because, one funny thing in that game is, me and him keep getting gems and jewels and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I can speak for him. We have not gotten a single socketed item in that game.
Dang.
I got one that was a gray trash item, and that was it. But it's like, why do we keep getting all these stupid runes and gems and crap when we can't find anything to put it in,
Yeah.
Yeah, the game's still cool. It's, passable.
That's what matters. They didn't mess it up, so
yeah,
that's a positive. Well, finally, getting away from talking about. I was gonna interject since we were talking about Sega there when you're talking about Lost Judgment, but we'll go ahead and start with that. We've known about one of the moves for a while because it's been a rumor for a while now that the Yakuza creator and head not just but now it's not just the Yakuza creator who we've known for a while was going to leave for NetEase in China, but now it's also the head of the Ryogoku studio, Daisuke Sato, is going to leave as well, and that's That's really crazy to me that you announce a sequel to Yakuza Like a Dragon, and then, man, these key people are leaving. Now, granted, to be fair on Negoshi's part, 32 years with a company, that's a long time, man. That's enough. Like, there's nothing that says you got to be a lifer at a company forever. I mean, you want to move on and do different things.
Well, I mean, that used to be the culture in Japan, but not anymore.
Well, I mean, I think this also just,
I mean, look at Miyamoto.
10 cents offering you some money, you're not going to not take it, So after a while.
Miyamoto will be working at Nintendo 5 years after his death.
I mean, that's the thing is, it's sad to see it happen. You're not really going to know how much this is going to affect things until.
I mean, I would say you'll know in 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how far along they are with this.
And you hear the people drag racing down my street, apparently.
Yeah, I hear that. It's like, what the heck's going on there?
I would say like the next, like a Dragon 2, you might see a little of it, but I'll say like the next whatever game, if it's like somehow Judgment 3 or maybe another Yakuza, like a regular Yakuza game or whatever, that will be the more noticeable one. But I'm sure they're not going to screw with the Golden Goose that much, or it's not. It might just become a little more.
They already said that they were going to work on, I think, the gameplay and everything else. Because they needed to mess with the battle system a bit. But aside from that, it's more of like, I think, the story and how that's going to go. And, he was perhaps probably involved a lot in that. It's sad to see, but I mean, it's good for him as well to be able to go and do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, like, you're always going to have change in a company. I don't think it's like when we talk about other people, oh man, this guy left the studio, that this game's in peril. I don't think that's anything of what we need to
wait till Nomura leaves Square.
And to be fair, just to put this out there, Masayoshi Yokoyama is going to now be the director at Ryuga Toku Studio. Ryusuke Hori and Hiroyuki Sakamoto are also going to get promoted as well. So they're staying around. So it's not like you're losing everybody that's been involved with that series.
Yeah.
I mean, you're using some very important people. But
it's not like the studio shutting down or anything.
Yeah, but again, I mean, like, Negoshi being around with he's been with Sega for 32 freaking years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
So, that's almost my entire lifetime. But hopefully we will. I mean, you and I both. I love Yakuza Like a Dragon a ton. I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with Yakuza Like a Dragon 2. Let's just hope that they nail that when we're getting down to that. Speaking of other famous folks that had to do with series that involve the dragon name, a guy has been very controversial as of late. I mean, he was one of the main reasons you weren't really supposed to be streaming Dragon Quest 11 because Koichi Sugiyama did not want the music being just available for everyone to listen to. He wanted to make sure you bought the game. He's a very anti-LGBT guy. I don't want to talk ill will of a person that composed 11 main games, all 11 main games of the series. That's over 500 pieces of music, according to Square-Enix. I mean, the dude's been there with the company for an extremely long time. And to live to 90 and have that legacy is tremendous on his end. But, man, Sad to hear that.
Yeah,
he passed.
I remember. I think it was Giant Bomb years ago talked about like he was the guy that wouldn't let America have like the good Dragon Quest soundtracks.
Well, yeah, I mean that happened, right? Like the PS4 version of Dragon Quest XI did not have the best available soundtrack. It wasn't until you got the Switch version that you did get the Crystal version.
Yeah.
You know? So
and I think it was like Dragon Quest Builders too had the same problem. Like so
so dumb. But hopefully they change that stance.
Right.
Now that we're not doing it anymore. So normally Mark would be someone that is championing or at least talking about the newest Far Cry game that also came out this week. Reviews seem to have not been very kind to Far Cry 6.
I mean, that's the thing is I'm like, yeah, I think Far Cry 5 kind of burned to me.
And that's not great to hear considering love Giancarlo Esposito as an actor, and that alone makes me want, and obviously the setting for me being Latino makes me want to play the game. But as Mark alluded to, lots of games to review right now, and Mark,
I may still grab it, or because I got like also Alan Wake waiting in the wings.
Yeah, Alan Wake as well. That has been getting good reviews. So,
but that's a game that like I don't want to get too deep into, especially with my controller issue. Like that will.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
That will not do that game kind.
Well, the reason why I bring up Far Cry 6, just because it's not fair to really talk about when either one of us have not been able to play the game yet, is that inside Far Cry 6, there's sort of a hint that there could be a multiplayer game coming for the Far Cry 6. And then Jason Schreier has kind of gone on, well, he said this in June, but there's more validity added to it that perhaps Far Cry 7 is going to be more online based and more of a.
I don't know how to take, like, what does that even mean?
Like more of a multiplayer focus game, right?
But I mean, I just don't think that. I mean, 2 players is kind of enough. You don't need a whole squad. Because look how well that helped Assassin's Creed Unity.
No, I agree, and it's just like you should still. There's something to be said of like you don't really need to mess with the main games. You want to do that, do like you did with Blood Dragon, right? Like make its own spin-off, whatever. Like I don't know why you need to make that one of the main games is like, oh, now we're gonna add multiplayer. Oh, what? Just so we can shove more microtransactions.
Yeah.
In there. I mean, I don't know. They could perhaps make it work for the story, but I don't know. That really puts me off wanting to play that if that's the case.
I saw the thing about I saw the one thing about Far Cry 6 where it's like, oh, you get a whole bunch of customizable outfits to wear, like clothing to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, I'm still baffled because like this isn't a third-person game, like you don't see your character. I'm pretty sure you never see your character, except like maybe like very situational things, but it's not like who cares what your character's wearing,
right? And maybe it's just a thing. Some people like to have that creative element in there.
I mean, it's fine, but I would rather have you be able to see what you're wearing, first.
Right.
Speaking of that, one thing Lost Judgment has is you now have gear in the game.
Oh, nice.
Which I don't think they've had in previous games, I'm pretty sure. It's like, I equipped these wristbands and they give me +5 attack. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's an improvement. They're making changes there on that end. Speaking of making a change, here for Netflix. Netflix is, I guess, serious about getting into the video game realm. However that is going to be, we still don't know. But they bought themselves one heck of an indie studio in Night School Studio. Of course, the developers of Oxenfree, now Oxenfree 2, and After Party as well. And I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, we talked about Netflix, wanting to get into games, and we said, okay, well, what are they going to do with that? And Sean Krankel, who's the co-founder of Night School, said that this is great because it gives them the freedom to be able to make what they want, and obviously they have the funding now; they don't have to worry about that. Of course, some people are worried about what this means for Oxenfree 2. Is Netflix going to get involved and try to start poking holes in it and whatever? What do you think? Like, obviously, this is a narrative-driven studio. They make kind of narrative-type games, not like full Telltale stuff or whatever, but there's a narrative focus to their games, obviously. What do you think? Does this mean?
I mean, it could work, but I just don't. I don't think a lot of Netflix subscribers care about games.
Well, I mean, who isn't a Netflix subscriber?
Me.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, like, most people have Netflix, so like, I don't know where we're.
Yeah, but I'm like, not most people are into video games, so
I don't know, man. Like, we keep blurring that line of like, there's so many people that play video games in some form or another, whether it's mobile or console or PC or whatever. Like,
but also like the problem is like it's just going to essentially be a choose your own adventure game,
right?
Like that Black Mirror Bandersnatch episode or whatever it's called.
Like, I mean, if this is what Netflix wants to do, right? Are they going to do the Google thing of buying a studio just to buy it and it has the Netflix name on it and they're going to make money off of what part of the sales of that game or whatnot?
Yeah.
And not necessarily, we're going to try to make it work for Netflix. Or will they kind of offer their own Game Pass? Where it's like, okay, well, we own these studios and for $5 more a month or whatever, you can play it on your computer.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I would say that's almost not with the Netflix spirit, or it's not. I'd rather just buy the game. I mean, if they just want to own a bunch of studios, that's one thing. But if they want to like integrate it into like the Netflix like platform, that is where this kind of falls apart for me, because it's like, what is the number one input device for like a Netflix, console, a remote control? Look at like an Apple remote. It has like a D-pad and like a button on it, and that's about it.
Right. I mean, but we saw that Stadia made it to where you can use other controllers, right? And Xbox has it to where you can use a PS4 controller and eventually probably a PS5 controller.
But that factors into like what I was saying, like not everyone is into games. It's like,
right, but I'm saying, like, we're not talking about, okay, well, Netflix has to go and make a Netflix brand. Well, I'm sure they might.
I'm sure they will. I mean, it's
they'll
get all the old Google stock of Stadia controllers and.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure they will not hesitate to make their own Netflix branded controller and say, oh, hey, well, you can do this with a package. Buy this for, let's say that they don't charge 60, maybe they charge 50 or 40 or something. And that, hey, now you can, for a certain amount of money a month, you can now go and buy, or you can go and play a subset of games from our studios, or maybe they, again, like I said, their own kind of Game Pass, and they include other games that don't necessarily that they own, and you can play them there as part of the service, an expansion of the service.
Well, did you play? I didn't play. Did you play Oxenfree?
Yes, I love Oxenfree. It's a great.
So is it?
Great
I
game.
know it's an adventure game, but isn't there like free movement, or it's not like? It's not like
Yes,
a
there
solely
is.
narrative.
No. It's not a Telltale game. There's movement, and you actually have to figure out puzzles and things like that. I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, playing it on a computer is one thing, or with a on a console, but
right.
Like I said, like I just think like the barrier for most people is I have a Roku remote. What
Right, but this okay. So this is not. I don't think that they're trying to get like let's say my grandma, right? My 82-year-old grandma. They're not trying to get her who watches novellas on Netflix or some other thing that is used to having the Roku remote and that or using the Chromecast, whatever. They're not trying to get my mom who doesn't care about video games at her age in her 60s. They're trying to get us, right? Our generation. They're trying to get the ones younger than us that are now doing stuff Netflix and chill. Like,
sure.
My daughter and further on, that's who they're trying to get with this. I'm trying to make sure, and here's something else we can offer you so you don't cancel your subscription.
But I mean, I just don't. Well, I don't think this is like the one studio, so that's one issue. Like unless they're going like a huge buying spree, like THQ Nordic has been doing, like that might be an issue. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just don't see enough interest in like Netflix as a gaming platform for this to be like a huge factor for people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is Netflix kind of has to reveal more of what they're trying to do here. I really think that eventually they want this to become like their own Game Pass. We're gonna own some of these studios, and they're gonna make games for us that perhaps aren't. I don't know if they'd be eventually exclusive to where you have to have a Netflix subscription to pay, play it or whatever, or it's just an extension of okay. Well, you already own these things that also have Netflix on it. You can use those controllers and everything just as long as you pay an extra fee, whatever it's going to be, you can play these games. And kind of like, Epic doing their free thing or Twitch, Amazon doing their thing.
But like
maybe something like that.
Those examples are all like free, like pretty open narrative free games. Like, Fortnite like doesn't have a story per se. So it's, like they can offer for, I guess I just, if Netflix wants to own game studio, that's fine. Like I go ahead as long as you sell the games. But I would never subscribe to Netflix to play Oxenfree 2 or Bandersnatch 48 or whatever,
Yeah, we'll see what comes up out of this, right? Like when you start, I think somebody made the when this first came out, it's like, talk to me when you buy a AAA studio and tell me that you're not making games for Netflix.
Once Netflix buys Sega.
I hope not. But I mean, like, that's the road. I mean, we talked about this before. That's the road we're headed down. We're going to see a lot more of this. We're going to see more studios get bought. And because that's kind of like movies isn't going to be, you're not going to make many more mergers happen. You're not going to have these big companies.
Yeah. Three or four big companies, and that's it.
So the entertainment world is kind of done in that perspective. The next phase of that is video games, and we're seeing, not to go off this topic too much, but we're seeing Sony all of a sudden make a bunch of moves as far as acquiring studios. And this one was leaked a long time ago when we talked about them acquiring Housemarque. But now they have announced that they also have acquired Bluepoint. And then there's sort of been a hint that Bluepoint could be doing their own original thing.
They said they're working in their own IP, which, I mean, I guess sure, but
yeah,
I think they're remastered or the remade stuff is good enough.
yeah. But I mean, if you're a studio, that's what you want. You want to make your own stuff. You don't want to be making.
You just don't want to be like
constantly.
the emulation or like the port people. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, that's kind of what they're bringing in the Nikkei for, or not Nikkei, the Nixus or whatever, right? Like Nixus is around to port a bunch of games that already exist to PC, for the most part.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to have, if you're Blue Point and that's what you kind of made your name off of, but you don't want that to be your thing forever.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like how Iron Galaxy. I mean, yeah, they were kind of known for porting over games, and then they made their forays into their own games, some good and some bad. So.
Yeah, you're gonna get some wins and losses on that front. Really. I mean, and talking about that, that's I think for me, like one of the interesting things about Konami coming back into wanting to make AAA games again, or at least remakes of their own game, their own big franchises like Castlevania. And there's already talk of them trying to find a studio to make a new Castlevania game, and perhaps remake of Metal Gear. And then Metal Gear kind of makes sense if you are really doing that movie. How do you feel as someone that is a big Castlevania fan and a big Metal Gear fan? Like, Konami decided to go away from making the big video games, and now they want to come back. Like, do you think this could work for them?
I think the inherent problem is, even if they wanted to do this, they would do it incredibly ineptly or cheaply. I think as eFootball has borne out.
Right.
So I mean, I would not want them to. I would rather, they clearly can't make a AAA game at this point. Even like a B tier game, sad as that is, like they should honestly just sell the property or sell the franchises off.
Yeah, interesting what that's going to become. And, Marc alluded to it, but eFootball 22 is the lowest rated game on Steam of all time. To be fair, I really wouldn't.
That's not a good metric, but I mean,
yeah, no, and I'm still not like thinking that sports games are necessarily always like the thing for PC, but either way, it's still not great on all the other consoles. And part of that is also like it was made to be free to play, coming from a system where it was actually a pretty good game, and then you like cheapened it. And then there's also a pack that you can't unlock for 2 months that costs $40. I mean,
well, there's a pretty good Kotaku breakdown of this by like someone who actually is a fan of the game apparently, or of Pez, and they were like, they stripped out almost all the modes, and like passing
almost all the teams.
Yeah, well, I think it was a guy. He's like, passing doesn't work in the game, and
you can't play soccer without passing.
Yeah, he's like that's like playing a basketball game with broken dribbling. Like that is the first thing you should have working, and like it just doesn't work. Or it's incredibly slow. The AI is apparently terrible, and he was just like dumbfounded by it. And it's like that's what I mean by like, imagine the Konami of today trying to make a Metal Gear game. It's like, Jesus Christ, like no thank you. And one of the things I saw was I think this was like last week, people were speculating they were going to do a Metal Gear Rising port or like remaster, and it's like that game it's already out on PC. Like
if there's, I mean, people want other Metal Gear games to be remastered or whatever, not necessarily that one.
And that game, like, you can you can get that game, or you can find that game very easily. I think it might be you can just buy it on the PSN or Xbox storefronts. It's like not hard to find that game. Like, yeah, I'd rather have. I mean, the one I want is Metal Gear Solid 4 personally, but they're never going to do that one.
Right.
So yeah, if like Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3, sure, but I mean, sell the franchise to Sony and have Bluepoint do it. Like.
Yeah, that is one of the ones that people were wondering if maybe they are doing that. Would they be doing the Metal Gear remake, Bluepoint, as their next game? And
have what's that? The Eternal Darkness people.
Yeah, that could work.
No, I mean they already did that one remake for the GameCube. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Dennis Dyack Studio's still around. Silicon Knights.
Yes, Lord, this is bad. See football.
But again, I mean, they just put out like a Castlevania like mobile game on Apple Arcade that is like apparently like I have a friend saying it's not bad, but it's more just kind of like free to play garbage, or it's more the same thing, and it's like
yeah, but some of their free to play, or not free, but sorry, some of their like mobile games and indie games have been decent. But that's not the problem though, right? It's like it's one thing to say, okay, we're making an indie game, or we're making one of our games, putting it on the mobile, like Sony's doing as well. It's like it's another thing entirely to. Oh, well, we're going back into the AAA space, and then we're also just going to be kind of outsourcing this to different studios as well. And it's like, oh, man, what are you doing here? You didn't let Kojima have Silent Hill, but we're going to have studio number 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, unknown studios who don't care about who probably won't care about the job. It's just like a contract to them. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, like how many CyberConnect 2 situations you're gonna have with those studios where it's like, oh man, look, I don't want to talk ill will about who knows, maybe these studios wind up being great at doing this, but I'm just saying, what if you do, and then it's like, oh, well, now what? Are we gonna scrap it? You're not gonna bring it in house to develop what? You don't have anybody developing at Konami. So
also, like, I would be extreme. Even if I somehow headed up a game studio and Konami said, we want you to make a new Castlevania game, I would say no, because I imagine they have so many like weird restrictions or like weird business practices that I would want like no part of it.
I mean, unless you're hard up for money and that's what you want to do to like kind of get your feet wet, but like I imagine the pressure that you will have is immense.
Look at Metal Gear Survive as example number 1.
Oh God! Don't even remind me of that terrible, awful game. Just yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the great tragedy is that Konami has some of the best franchises ever, but their capacity to make new games or to exploit those franchises correctly is gone. And say what you want about like Square or Capcom, like the relative value or the relative quality of individual games, but like, hey, Final Fantasy is still going and it's still strong. Resident Evil is still going and it's still strong. Like, you can't say that about Metal Gear, or you can't say that about Castlevania. Aside from, this Advance Collection, which, hey, is great, don't get me wrong, but it's a collection of their old games that they farmed out to, I think, M2.
Yeah. Oof.
So, unless they're going to make another Pachinko game, which you have to imagine that COVID tanked that business. I think that's why they're trying to pivot again.
No, I agree. Yeah, because you don't have people going into these
Pachinko parlors and like slot machines and crap like that. So
it'll be a while before people feel comfortable to do that,
if ever, or if not, 20 years from now maybe. But I mean,
I think eventually we will get.
I think in America, yes. I think in Japan, no. At least not for way longer. Let's say that.
Yeah, Grant, you're right on that.
Look at like Sega's closing down all their like high-profile arcades in Tokyo and Japan.
Mm. You're right there, sir. We'll see. Konami I just don't have a lot of faith here. But
no,
however,
God no. Yeah.
However, I do have faith in Capcom deciding to all of a sudden make PC their main platform. And they showed that off with Monster Hunter Rise getting its own release date finally. I think it's next year, January. And then, of course, the expansion will come to that too. Apparently, Resident Evil 7 still sells a million copies a year on PC. We've seen Sega make a move to PC and how profitable that's been. Sony is doing that as well. So Capcom can't really say that they've noticed this trend. A lot of people have been being able to benefit from putting their games on PC when they haven't been in the past. As a PC person, but
go on.
Yeah, what do you? That's what I was gonna ask you. Like a PC person, like, do you feel like this is just you should have realized that a long time ago, or is there something changing now that's making the PC kind of more of a?
I think they said that in Japan the PC is like starting to grow as a platform, which makes sense because I'm like gaming lounges are like the pachinko parlor like they're not doing well. So yeah, the problem is like a lot of Capcom's games on PC are busted or just not good ports. Like Resident Evil 8 is a great example. Like it has like some very restrictive DRM that like some pirate or cracker eventually like stripped out the DRM and the game ran like 20% better. Oof. And it's like that is not like small. Like for the game to like run that much better, that's an issue. Like I think Capcom games on PC are not the best ported games or worked on games. So if they really do want to make that like the driving platform, fix your shit would be my suggestion. Or
fix your shit.
It's just like, I mean, that's a fine enough goal, but a lot of the games are just kind of weird on PC, even like way back in the day.
And especially now moving was exclusively a Switch game over to PC and then improving that and just saying, okay, 4K 60, that's going to change everything. I mean, obviously it does. If you're going to be playing that on Switch, but you've got to do that as well, right? You've got to improve the game's quality on PC, or it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. I don't know how much there is a Japanese crowd that is like super PC master race or whatever about all the technical graphics and everything. Do they just want it to work on PC because the screens are bigger than their phones?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, definitely that's a thing to think about. Like, technically you could play it on a laptop that you could take with you places, but you also have to have, internet access now to be able to like play these things and stuff. So it's supposed to be able to play online.
I think I watched some video by, I want to say the Modern Vintage Gamer about like Resident Evil Village, and like it looked borderline like broken on PC with the DRM. And it's like, it's like, oh, all right. I mean, I played it on PS5 and it was A-okay there. So believe me, I would not buy Resident Evil Village on PC without. I think they eventually got rid of the DRM, like once this was like brought to their attention. But it's like, you didn't play this game before that, or like didn't you like see it? Like it was like when Ethan like blocks, like the game kind of just chugs along, and I said, that's what's going on here.
Well, sometimes
he put up a video like 3 or 4 months ago saying DRM has ruined Resident Evil Village on PC. So
but that's No, you got to be weary of that. Capcom got to be looking at how to improve that if you're doing that, So Capcom, get your S together, sir. So we're already kind of like running a bit long here. Is there anything that you really, really want to talk about that we haven't yet?
Let's see. The God of War stuff is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So this, I'm sure most people already know about this already, but so we knew that they obviously announced a delay for God of War, but randomly one night Christopher Judge just goes off on Twitter and he points out that nobody had told him to say this or anything. No one's cleared it. The reason why God of War Ragnarok is delayed is because of him. He was injured and had to have various surgeries to his knees and hips and back. God, that's a lot. He couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
To a point. And think about how so many studios will say, okay, the game is more important than one guy, right? Oh, we can find somebody else to play Kratos. Let's go. Let's move it along. Let's, we need to get this going. We need to get this made. We don't have time for this. And, so for Sony, such a big company like Sony, to not only delay the game, but then stick with Christopher Judge and support him and say, look, we'll wait on you, man.
Yeah.
We'll wait on you. Obviously, I think the pandemic helps a little bit of okay, a lot of people are delaying their games. There's not a whole big rush to, oh my God, we got to get this out right now. I think that might help a little bit, but I think it's also just, it says a lot about Sony as a studio. We're going to wait. And we're going to make sure this is the best God of War game possible. And it's not going to be good without him.
Well, he was one of the, he was one of the breakout.
He was winning.
But,
it was him and was it Roger Clark that year for voice actor of the year or whatever.
Yeah.
In almost everything because he was so awesome as Kratos.
Yeah.
So you're going to say this is a God of War continuation and then you're not going to have the same voice actor?
Voice and motion capture, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, voice and motion capture, and motion capture is so big on this game. The way that they shoot the game, all of that is super important. So, people would be able to notice straight away if it's not him. And I think Sony realizes that and says, "Okay, well, we have to have him."
Right. The other speaking of, that's a good studio story. The bad studio story is Activision settled that one case or that thing, one of their things.
That doesn't really surprise me that they were able to fork enough money out to.
That's my issue is, they settled I think one of the cases for $18 million.
Yes.
That's $18 million. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's a lot for you and I. That's nothing for Activision.
Yeah. If I said $18 million, I'd be pretty happy. But for Bobby Kotick, even if somehow Bobby Kotick had to pay that himself, that's not even a speed bump to him. It's it'd be an expensive parking ticket. You're all right, whatever. It's baffling because I think last year they made $9 billion.
Yeah. And it's, again, most of that's Call of Duty, right? And then King and then Blizzard stuff, WoW and Hearthstone, all that stuff. But to be fair, just to talk about it, this is the $18 million is going into a fund for anybody that files a lawsuit of harassment or discrimination. And any claimant can kind of be paid off with this. and this is for the against the EEOC that made this lawsuit. So they Activision wanted to just go ahead. I mean, there's nothing good to say about this company really, as far as like the heads of the company go.
Right.
Like this is just them. Like, well, we already know we got bigger things to deal with.
Bigger legal fish to fry.
Yeah. Like,
mm-hmm.
We need to get this that's more of a civil thing with all these people that are going to make claims, kind of like out of the way, right? And not have it be taking up where our attention to fight these bigger fights that we got to deal with. And I mean, and also in a way, it's also like, let's get some of that money to those people, I guess also to kind of like get the heat off them a little bit. Like, let's get this out of the way. I don't know if that's going to necessarily do that, but
I'll go with no.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just. I actually saw that when it broke a few like last week, and I was like, that's insulting in a way, Like,
yeah.
If it was like 180 million, that'd be like slightly better. But I mean, Bobby Kotick has like 18 million probably in his, like laying there on his couch, let alone the company itself.
Let's go find that couch. I want some of that. But all right. So let's.
The Resident Evil film trailer.
Oh, well, yeah, we can put that in here with this stuff as well. So they had the what's it called? Welcome to Racoon City.
Yeah.
Trailer for this Resident Evil film. This is on Netflix as well, or?
I think it's coming out to theaters.
Theaters, okay.
Yeah, it's coming out Thanksgiving,
obviously,
which is a good time for Resident Evil films.
Yeah, day before my birthday. It looks. I mean, obviously, there's a budget consciousness there, and you can see it in the trailer. But I thought I'm not a Resident Evil aficionado like you guys are, but like you and Randy both are. I mean, but just having the characters that I know and their names and sort of a look, and there's a progression of how you start out to how they look at the end of the trailer. I mean, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's weird. I think there is a weird TV movie.
Yeah, like, you have that kind of vibe, right? Yeah.
Because you said like, hey, they got budget or they got TV. Whoever you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy's Robbie Amell, Steven's brother, and he was also in like Legends of Tomorrow and like The Flash.
Right.
That's kind of where I know him from, and like they got Neil McDonough. What's his last name? McDonough or
Neil McDonough, I think it is. Yeah.
McDonough. Sorry. Yeah, and like. He is also in Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash, I think, or at least Arrow for sure. And they have Kaya. What's her last name? Scodelario. She was Claire in that thing. She's kind of a bigger film star, a little, but she also comes from like the world of TV, at least British TV. So there were some TV stars in that, and I'm a little. I would say shaky on the motivations of Claire, at least from that trailer, of her being like some weird conspiracy nut or something. But aside from Leon, all the characters kind of look who they're supposed to, and it's taking place in fucking Racoon City, which almost like none of the movies did, or only one did.
There's umbrella logos.
There are clear homages to the games, like the zombie eating the guy, like in the dark. They're like having the flashlight on them,
There's
or like the RPD,
liquor that shows up. I mean,
yeah, or like the RPD building looking very much like how it does in the game, or the mansion. It was baffling to me that that first Resident Evil film. It's like, why doesn't this take place in the mansion? It's taking place in this like weird underground lab that like the game gets to for sure, but it doesn't like solely take place there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll see it. I'll kind of wait for the reviews, but hey, they're at least trying to make it look like the game.
Yeah, and that's a positive.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, the other 6 films couldn't do that correctly. So,
but that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most big budget. Oh my God, it's this amazing like feast for the eye thing. Yeah.
The other Resident Evil films were pretty cheap. Like this is actually pretty on par with those.
Yeah.
like
but,
most
yeah. No, I'm just saying like it doesn't have to have all this bombast and whatever. It can just be a good film.
Yeah, well, also it's not like it doesn't have to be a Transformers movie,
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a horror.
Let's get the horror down, the lore down, like that kind of thing. Placate more to the Resident Evil fan and not necessarily like, oh well, we got to make this some movie that everybody can go watch. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Now, obviously, if you're Sony and you're wanting to make the money, then maybe you need to do that in some ways. But I'm glad with the way it looks. Let's see when it actually comes down to.
It looks better than that Assassin's Creed film, that's for sure. And that thing was triple the budget of this one.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is like scary when you really think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this thing will be successful, but I wish him luck. Or yeah.
I think it'll be all right. It'll be
yeah.
fine.
I mean, it's bizarre. Those other Resident Evil films actually made a ton of money. And
that doesn't surprise me though. It's like,
who's seen these films? Like
people saw them. Like it's crazy what a sequel can do sometimes. Of like, people, it's a known franchise. It's getting a sequel. People will just go watch it. It's like, okay, we don't care whether it's good or not. It's like, let's go watch it. Whatever.
I mean, clearly they don't care if it was good or not.
And this is before, this is before all the Marvel stuff and all that, So now it's kind of like you have some quality to the action film, and people are kind of being a bit more picky and choosy about all that. So
yeah,
definitely. So moving on to how we always end the show, looking at what is coming out in the next week before we do another episode. The big game obviously is Back for Blood. That's going to be on Game Pass. You can play it on there with all your friends. You can go purchase it as well. It's already being previewed by a lot of people, so there will be reviews out, if not now, pretty quickly by the time we get to Monday, Tuesday, there will be reviews out there for the game. So if you love your Left 4 Dead, you know what you're getting with Back for Blood. I like both of us like the preview, the beta. So there's that.
I mean, me and Jens would have liked it, but we only played one time.
Yeah, I got to play a few times with the Outer Haven crew, and obviously getting to have all of them there, that helped a lot. And not having randoms. Right now they're playing with a bunch of randoms, and they're all going, oh my God, we're losing so much. It's not the same. Of course it's not. That game's not a game you play with randoms. Monster Crown looks interesting for PC and Switch. It's an RPG. Go check that out. The Rift Breaker is also coming to Game Pass. It's an action RPG with mechs, so there will be a crowd for that. The Crysis remasters are coming to all the systems, and especially like the PS5, Xbox is getting the first Crysis remaster that's already been out for a little bit. The Good Life is coming. The next was it Square game? That's also coming to Game Pass. And NHL 22 The next sports game is coming out in the next week, and that Demon Slayer Hinokami game, which actually looks really good to me. Especially I love that cel-shaded art style. That looks great. I'm gonna be interested to see how the reviews are for that. I was tempted to maybe ask for a code, but I was like, you know what? No. I got way too much stuff right now. I don't want to keep adding to my plate, honestly. And yeah, I mean, there's more stuff, but we'll have a show by then to talk about it. But I am reviewing something as well that's coming out like in a couple of weeks that I can't talk about an indie game. So when we get closer to then, I'll be able to talk about it. But I've been enjoying it a little bit so far.
That small indie game, Halo?
No, not Halo. No. But yeah. So, and don't forget, we got Guardians coming at the end of the month too. So, all right.
Forget all that, man. Regency Solitaire's hitting the Switch in like a week and a half.
That is what you are interested in. Of course, you reviewed that game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I know I reviewed the other two games the guy did, or their company did.
So definitely go to that WTNet.com for Marc's review of that and more. And until next week, everyone, I appreciate you all that are listening or watching or however it is that you consume the show. Thank you so much for doing that. And of course, if this is the first time, we are available anywhere that there are podcasts. And of course, we're on Twitch, YouTube, on the websites. Marc is at Humanity Plague on Twitter. I'm at WTMSean. You can go find us, chat with us there. And of course, you can just go subscribe to the whole WTM network and you get everything that we do. My soccer show, Soccer the Max, I do with Eric. We just did our review of the first World Cup qualifying game for this round with the U.S. beating Jamaica 2-0. And then, of course, there's a game on Sunday as well that we'll be covering there. And you can get the NFL show, the kickoff that Eric does with Harry and Nick Kennedy. And, of course, all of our entertainment stuff. Marc Rylich and his crew do a wonderful job. They, reviewed the Venom movie and so many other things this week that you should go definitely check out. So that's why you subscribe to WTN Network. You get all of that and more. So until next time, see you later, everybody.
Later.
Bye.